So why do amateur players struggle to find the right contact point? They are always waiting for the ball. You can't rally like that. Alright, let's talk about the backhand rip. Why do many players struggle when lifting backspin? It's because they don't grip the ball on their backhand rip. Let me give you an example. Watch as we rally with backhand rips. Right now, Shui can rally with me. Now, he'll block while I rip. See? His block goes long. This is the magic that spin brings to table tennis. The backhand rip is the backhand equivalent of a forehand topspin loop. That's why you absolutely must know how to do a backhand rip. If you can't, you'll be very passive. When your opponent's shot has spin, you'll hit it long. Some players say they can't distinguish between a rip, a flick, and a drive. The backhand drive is characterized by a small motion, hitting the back of the ball, primarily with a forward impact. The backhand rip is characterized by more friction, a larger motion, and stronger spin. It's the advanced version of the drive. The third technique is the backhand loop, which, like a forehand loop, requires creating space. You must create space for a backhand loop. That's what it is. The advantage of a backhand topspin loop is its power, force, and high quality. The downside is you often don't have enough time for it in a match. In competitions, you'll see that professional players all use the backhand rip. Male players just have a slightly larger motion than female players, but it's still fundamentally a rip. The fourth technique is the backhand banana flick, typically used on serve returns against side spin or side backspin, mostly for short or half-long balls. The fifth is the backhand loop against backspin. For a deep backspin ball to your backhand, you should loop it, you can't flick it. Why can't you flick it? Because by the time your wrist rotates to the contact point, you're already jammed, and you'll likely hit the edge of the racket and lose control. So for long balls to the backhand, you can only swing back or to the side to brush the ball. This is how you can react in time during high-speed rallies. So, those are the 5 techniques: drive, rip, topspin loop, in-table flick, and backhand loop against backspin. Now let's discuss 3 advantages and 2 disadvantages of the backhand rip. The main disadvantage of the rip is that generating friction is difficult. It really tests your fundamental skills. With a drive, you just hit forward. But with a rip, you need to brush the ball. A second difficulty is that it's very hard to sync up with the ball's power. Many players, when they try to rip, end up hitting the edge of the racket because they can't find the right contact point. You might be able to do it one ball at a time in practice, but you lose the rhythm in a rally. Today, we're going to focus on this issue of rhythm and friction. So what are the advantages? First, it's spinny. If your opponent tries to drive your rip, they'll hit it long because the ball is just too spinny. Second, it's high quality. If I rip with more speed, my opponent can't keep up because the ball is too fast. Because you have friction, you can generate power confidently. Without friction, you'll make errors as soon as you try to add speed. Third, the rip can create psychological pressure on your opponent in a rally. Against a drive, they can confidently trade power. But against your rip, if they try to hit hard, the ball goes out, forcing them to play softer, which can affect their entire game. First, let's focus on spin. How do you make the rip spinny? When you want to rip with power, you must close your racket angle. Only with a closed angle can you hit hard with confidence. Why do amateur players hesitate to use power or back away in backhand rallies? Because from close to the table, any attempt at power sends the ball long. If you stand further back, you can complete your swing, but you'll make more errors because it's harder to find the contact point. The correct feeling is to close your racket angle this much, brushing the top of the ball. Don't make the common mistake of using your drive motion to hit the ball when trying to rip. You have to close the racket and brush. If your racket faces open like this, it's a hit. To create friction, you have to swing upwards, which is how many amateurs incorrectly rip the ball. Ripping upwards with an open racket is ineffective, your opponent will just block it back. So, if you want to rip with heavy spin or power, you must keep your racket angle closed, from the backswing all the way through contact. At the moment of your swing, you actually shouldn't be able to see the ball. If you can see the ball, it means your racket angle is definitely too open. Many people only see the forward motion of the shot and assume the racket angle is the same during the backswing. In reality, we close it on the backswing, and it naturally opens slightly through contact, not the other way around. Many modern male players even curl the bottom edge of the racket up for more spin, but don't try to copy that. Amateurs will miss the ball. Our contact point isn't that precise. We can't be perfect, so just focus on keeping the racket angle closed. The second issue is the wrist during the brushing motion. This is where most amateur players have problems. The problem is too much wrist movement. The biggest mistake in any backhand technique is an unstable wrist. For example, if you use your wrist on a punch, you'll make errors. The wrist should be firm. It's the same for a rip, avoid using the wrist too much. Because the backhand motion extends outwards from the body, any slight wobble in your wrist will cause the ball to go long. If you use your wrist as the primary source of power, you can only graze the ball. If you add a bit more impact, the ball is very likely to go out. And if your opponent's ball has some spin on it, you're guaranteed to hit it long. So, is there wrist action in the backhand rip? Yes, absolutely. But it's generated by the fingers. The motion is tiny, just this much. It's the wrist moving as a result of finger pressure, which is completely different from actively snapping the wrist. The difference in range of motion is huge. The finger-driven motion is very small. If you're only using friction correctly, the first bounce should be on your side of the table. The ball won't even clear the net. That's how you know you've gripped it. Then, you combine that with your forearm driving forward. If your wrist alone has enough power to send the ball over, adding your forearm will create way too much power. That's why your powerful shots fly off the table. The alternative is to not use your forearm, but then your backhand rip will have no speed. It's the same for the forehand. When you properly grip the ball, it shouldn't clear the net. If it does, adding the rest of your arm will cause an error. The forehand is a bit more forgiving because the arm moves toward the body, whereas the backhand moves away. You must keep your wrist firm and use only your fingers for that instant of contact with the ball. This should be combined with the forward impact from your forearm to create a shot that is both spinny and powerful. For both forehand and backhand, there is a squeezing or gripping of the racket at impact. When you do a backhand rip, if you use your fingers to generate the rotation, you will naturally grip the racket. So, by using your fingers, you don't need to consciously think about gripping. The finger action itself creates the grip and stabilizes the racket. The rest is just sending the forearm forward. For our backhand rip, the forearm moves from back to front. It must not go sideways to the right or upwards. The motion is purely forward, and as you move forward, the racket head will naturally turn over. You are rotating your forearm around your elbow as a pivot. The direction of force is forward, not sideways. So, make sure your forearm's direction of force is from back to front. The most critical part of this is the elbow. In the rip, the elbow acts as a pivot point. Notice that in a backhand drive, the elbow moves forward with the arm. But for a rip, you pivot around the elbow, contract the forearm, then extend the forearm. Contract, extend, contract, extend. The elbow should not move along with the arm. If your elbow moves with your arm, you'll get jammed by the ball. We see pros keeping their elbows high. First, this allows for a fuller and more complete backswing of the forearm. Second, with a high elbow, you can close your racket angle and keep the ball under your racket. So, your elbow should not drift up, to the side, or back and forth. It should be held in a stable, supportive position. Watch me rip softly. My elbow is stable, while my forearm moves back and forth. A slight bit of movement is okay, but it should not move together with the whole arm. It serves as a pivot. When your elbow is up and stable, your forearm can have a full backswing. If your elbow is down, you're forced to generate power like this, which is much slower. Because the rip is a friction-based technique, you need a quick, snapping motion. Next, let's discuss the rhythm of the backhand rip. The rhythm of a rip is faster than a drive. You should make contact slightly before the peak of the bounce. However, it is definitely not on the rise. If you try to hit on the rise, you'll jam yourself. The rhythm isn't about hitting on the rise, but rather about keeping your hand further forward and being more proactive with your timing than you would for a drive. The rip is a technique that uses the opponent's power. The only time you can take a big swing is when your opponent's shot is weak. Then you can take a bigger backswing and loop it. So, the rhythm of the rip is indeed a bit earlier than that of the drive. So why do amateur players struggle to find the right contact point? They are always waiting for the ball. You can't rally like that. The rip must be executed in front of your body. When the ball comes, you execute the shot in front of you. Don't wait for it. If you wait, you'll be jammed on the second ball, because a ripped ball has spin and will kick forward on the second bounce. If you take your racket back too far or wait even a little, you won't be able to maintain a rally. When practicing rip-to-rip rallies, you don't have to use full power, but you must find the rhythm. Stay in front, grip the ball, and use the incoming pace. Don't take a big backswing, or you will get jammed after 2 shots. You have to stay in front. If you do this, you will be very consistent. Keep your elbow stable. If you pull it back, you're done. Always make contact at this point in front of you, using their power. It's not that there's no backswing, but the backswing must happen in front of your body. Don't pull your entire arm and elbow back. Keep your elbow stable and just retract your forearm. That's how you combine their power with your friction. This is what the backhand rip is all about. Watch me combine power and friction. If I want to be more aggressive, I can add a bigger backswing from this position to hit it harder, but opportunities for that are rare. In a typical match rally, it's almost all about using their pace and applying friction in front of you. For the rip, how do we ensure contact is in front of our body? You have to lower your center of gravity and lean forward. You can't rip if you're standing straight up with your stomach out. Get low, keep your body compact, and then rip the ball. If you do this, your opponent won't be able to hit through you. As soon as you stand up straight, you have openings everywhere. If you're standing straight and they play a short ball, you won't make it. You have to be low to be able to move forward. Your body posture is key. If you stand tall, you can't move forward effectively. Amateur players have poor in and out footwork because their center of gravity is too high, which immobilizes them. But if you lean your upper body forward, you can pounce on the short balls. Why do many players have a straight line swing trajectory instead of an outer arc? Because they stand too high to reach the ball using an outer arc swing. But if I lean forward, I can move directly to the ball and adjust my shot naturally. If you want to cover your forehand during a backhand rally, move up for short balls, and be solid defensively, you must get your body down. It's not a technique issue, it's an issue of your body posture. Use your body to shield the shot and then rip it. Keep your body compact, and when you transition to the forehand, it's a completely different level of play. So, your body posture determines your ability to play continuously in a rally. Anyone can hit a single ball, standing or crouching. But once you start moving, a good posture makes you a much stronger player.